Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and tuning up. This is Scott Jensen with my Ancient Wisdom Modern Health podcast. Here, I share and explain how to get and stay healthy with Tai Chi, Qigong, and Kung Fu, mixing interviews with incredible people and my own insights and experiences. We look for timeless wisdom and proven practices to be healthy and happy today. Today I'd like to talk about the three treasures. These are Jing, Qi, and Shen. First I'll describe what each one of them is individually. We'll talk about how they're traditionally related with a story, and then look at Jing, Qi, and Shen in martial arts and healing. The most literal translation of Jing is actually semen. Usually we see it translated as essence. Jing can refer to your general constitution, the strength of your body, the genetic potential that you inherited from your parents, and it has medical meanings as well. The amount of Jing that you have is directly related to your physical health, and it shows in your physical health. Your Jing could also be your mojo or your sexual attractiveness, and it can also mean your reproductive capability to bear children, to be a parent. With a little practice, your Tai Chi becomes relaxing, pleasant, and sometimes pleasurable and blissful in a peaceful and calm way. After being severely injured in car accidents, I used Tai Chi during my recovery virtually every day. When I was in my 20s, I woke up every single day in significant pain. When I did enough Tai Chi and Qigong, no matter how I felt when I woke up, I was able to straighten my spine, relieve all the pinched nerves, and open up my joints and relax my body. Then I would be pain-free and in a great mood. Since Tai Chi worked better than painkillers and treatments, I never stopped. Over time, my health and spinal strength were regenerated. That is how and why I developed such a deep understanding of Tai Chi's healing capability, because I have personally experienced the healing miracles that Tai Chi is capable of and helped thousands of my students experience them. I believe you can too. Learn more by going to 10,000victories.com. Qi we often translate as energy. Qi here means the vital energy associated with our breath and our blood. Qi in this context also can refer to taking actions in the world, what you're doing in the world as a person, how you're affecting the world. That can also be your Qi. Your Qi is directly related to your Jing. If your Jing, meaning your body, if your body is not healthy, if you're weak physically and ill, you're not going to have a good energy level. Your Qi level will be very low. If you have a strong, healthy body, your energy level will be much higher. Shen is often translated as spirit or mind. When we're saying mind in this context, we mean mind with a capital M, including your thoughts, your feelings, your perceptions, your memories, and your personality as a whole. When we're saying spirit or Shen or mind there, we can also be referring to your spiritual nature, your capacity for meditation, your elevation of your being as a human being to a higher, wiser, more compassionate human being is also a way to say that you've built your Shen, you've increased your Shen. The relationship between Jing, Qi, and Shen is that Jing creates Qi, and then Qi creates Shen. Or you could say that your Qi comes from your Jing, and your Shen comes from your Qi. The old story that we tell about Jing, Qi, Shen is that 3 drops of Jing are required to create 1 drop of Qi, and 3 drops of Qi are required to create 1 drop of Shen. Now, in reality, there are no drops. This is just an analogy, but it gives you an idea of how difficult it is to acquire the Shen, that you're going to have 9 Jings and generate 3 Qis before you get 1 Shen. So those Shens are hard to come by. Part of the idea here is that if you're able to find someone who has a lot of Shen, who's a master of martial arts or meditation or spirituality of some form, or they're just a wise older person with a lot of life experience, somebody who's cultivated their Shen in one way or another, those people, if you can hang around them, you might get a drop of Shen from them. It might rub off on you a little bit. And that's one of the reasons that we'll seek out the teachers and the masters and the wise elders, is to have that influence. Another way to look at Jing, Qi, and Shen is to think about in more like societal terms, cultural terms. If you think about your Jing as your genetic potential, and then your Qi as your actions in the world, then you're taking your actions based on what your potential is. And as you reflect on those actions and learn from them, that's how you build your Shen. And if you take enough actions and then you contemplate enough on them, then your Shen will grow and you'll become a much wiser person. When you're visiting a traditional school of Chinese martial arts, perhaps teaching Tai Chi or Xing Yi Quan or Baguazhang or Northern Shaolin, you could look around and expect to see a calligraphy on the wall which would have 3 characters written very large so everyone could see them, and they would be Jing, Qi, and Shen. The purpose of this calligraphy and those 3 characters is to remind everyone present that even though they're throwing punches and kicks and leaping around and practicing combat techniques and doing all sorts of calisthenics to strengthen themselves, the ultimate purpose of the entire activity and the school itself is for everyone present to cultivate their Jing, Qi, and Shen, to become healthy, to have enough energy that they can help those around them and become wiser, better human beings, able to live in harmony with themselves, their families, and the society around them. And that is the ultimate purpose for which everyone is gathered there. And when they see Jing, Qi, Shen, that's immediately what they're thinking. We're cultivating these 3 treasures. In martial arts, we also talk about the different weapons and their relationship to Jing, Qi, and Shen. We say that the staff either trains a person's Jing or demonstrates it. Training the staff is very vigorous. They're usually pretty heavy, and they require a lot of movement. So when you can do a staff form with a heavy staff and leap about and throw a lot of power around showing your physical strength, that demonstrates your Jing. The saber is said to show a person's Qi, or to develop their Qi. And in this case, we really mean energy. The saber is shorter. That's a tongue twister to say. So the saber is shorter than the spear and the staff. And when it fights those weapons, you have to be very nimble and leap in and leap out and jump up and duck down low and get out of the way of the more powerful, longer weapons until you can get in close. So practicing the saber, you have to have lots and lots of nimble, fast energy, and that really demonstrates your Qi. The sword is said to demonstrate your Shen and to cultivate your Shen. The Chinese straight sword, or Jian, is characterized as a dragon, coiling and twisting, extending, retracting. It has a very fluid, spiraling beautiful and elegant type of movement, which is very different from the power of the staff and the fast energy of the saber. And the straight sword, the Jan, is the weapon that cultivates your Shen. Another very good way to look at Jing, Qi, and Shen in traditional Chinese martial arts is to discuss internal and external martial arts. In this view, the internal martial arts are Tai Chi Chuan, Xing Yi Chuan, which is form and will boxing, and Bagua Zong, which is 8 diagrams palm. It's primarily those three. Sometimes water boxing is included, and sometimes one or two other styles might be included as internal martial arts. Of course, within Tai Chi and Xing Yi and Bagua, there are many branches. Most of the other schools would be considered to be external schools, and those are schools that are focusing on developing physique, power, and speed. Classic examples would be Hung Gar, Choi Li Fut, Northern Shaolin as well, but some martial arts have qualities of both the internal and the external school, Northern Shaolin being one. Pao Chui Cannon Fist Boxing would be another internal mixed external school. Or resting hands or Lan Shou Chan would also be considered mixed internal and external. When I was training in China in the 1990s, with many different teachers, I often asked them various different questions that I was curious about the answers, and I asked them all the same questions. And one of the questions that I would frequently ask people is, what's the difference between internal martial arts and external martial arts in your view? And I particularly like the answer that Grandmaster Su, who is the head instructor of the Shanghai Jingwu Association, gave me to this question. What Master Su said was, if you look at internal martial arts, they hide their Jing, Qi, and Shen. And when you look at external martial arts, they show them. So what does this mean? If you're looking at an external martial artist, say someone who does Hung Gar or Choi Li Fut or perhaps even Northern Shaolin, but one of the strong, fast-moving styles, it's easy to see who's better and who's worse. If you look at them, the people who have big muscles and throw really fast punches and move really quickly, obviously their Jing is better than the people that are weaker and slower and can't move as quickly or skillfully. You look at how much energy they have, their rapidity and endurance, that's their Qi. If they have lots of it, it's really easy to see because they're still going and they're going and going and going. And then when you look at their face, they're frightening. They're extremely fierce. Their eyes show a lot of spirit and power. And if you think, oh my God, I would never want to fight this person, their mind is very intimidating, then that shows in the external martial artist a very powerful Shen. Now for the internal martial artist, when you look at them, usually their bodies are more rounded, and when they're practicing their movements are generally smoother, softer, more circular, and they're rarely moving at full speed. It's actually hard to tell, looking at some of these performances, who is the best and who isn't. It's completely hidden. Sometimes the people who are absolutely the best, you couldn't pick them out of the entire group, and they've completely concealed this formidable power that they can generate with their body, and it's a hidden secret. Then you look at them, and they're moving slowly. They're not using a lot of energy. There's very little to get excited about. They might even be able to use very small movements to defend themselves. So exerting far less energy in the actual application of their power, even if it was quite sudden, than the external martial artist, whose Qi is very obvious. And as you look at their face, their forehead is smooth, their face is relaxed, their eyes might be lively, they probably won't be looking sleepy, but they won't have the fierce, dominating external projection of energy and power through their eyes that you would see from the external martial artist. So we can think about people either concealing or hiding their Jing, Qi, and Shen, or just manifesting it in a very calm and more inward way, as opposed to people who are showing and demonstrating their Jingqi Shen on an external way that's highly visible. If you're thinking along the lines of perhaps being a mystic or a master of meditation, then your idea would be to generate as much Shen as you could. Perhaps you could even become an immortal if you could cultivate enough Shen. In the ancient period, Taoist priests searched for immortality. They searched high and low, and they tried many different things. In the beginning of their search for immortality, they tried eating all sorts of different plants and herbs and minerals. This is the beginning of the herbal medicine in the history of China. But in the big picture, the Taoist goal, one way or the other, was to extend their life, then have longer to perhaps develop their wisdom. But hopefully, they all wanted to become immortals. In the old days, they said that the Taoist immortals did succeed, or at least the Taoists did succeed in coming up with a formula that could make you an immortal. However, you had to drink it to know whether it would work, and it only worked half the time, and the other half you dropped dead right there. So it was a big roll of the dice, and people didn't like to do it. This is the story they tell, at least. So after all this period with the herbs and minerals, they realized that actually they could apply much of the knowledge that they had gained through this process inside themselves. Hopefully, by cultivating their Jingqi and Shen, they could greatly extend their life. So the idea is that if you can become very healthy, you'll generate a surplus of energy. And the surplus of energy will also help you to generate a surplus of spiritual energy. And while you're generating this surplus of energy, hopefully you can store some of it in your Dantian, the center of your body. And the Dantian is actually the heavenly pill. Tian is the heaven, and Dan is the pill. This is like the immortal's pill, but you're going to make it yourself by concentrating enough of your qi in the center of your body that you build up a great reservoir, and that reservoir then fulfills your health, powers your martial arts. It helps you to resist illness and injury. When I studied with the late Xingyi Quan Grandmaster Liang Keqian, he gave me a calligraphy with Jing, Qi, and Shen written in 3 large, bold characters to display in my school. In addition, on the side, he wrote a poem about the great value of cultivating your qi in the center of your body. His poem related how you could practice your Tai Chi, your Xingyi Quan, your Baguazhong, all the internal martial arts, and build up the qi in the center of your body. Then when you were in old age, you'd still be healthy and happy and able to enjoy good times with your family and friends. Thank you for listening. If you like our podcast, I hope you will subscribe and share with your friends and family who would enjoy and benefit from it. If you have questions, send them to practice@10,000victories.com. Until our next episode, stay well and be happy.